Hello and welcome back to another video. In this problem, we're given this equation, and given that x is greater than 0, what is one possible solution to the equation above? So the reason they're not giving us the opportunity for x to be equal to 0 or less than 0 is because if you just test and you plug in 0, 0 cubed times whatever this is going to be equal to negative 4 times 0, because both sides are going to be 0, and you'll find that 0 is a solution. So they don't want you to do that. They want you to actually solve this equation. So distributing, we get x cubed times x squared. So when you're multiplying two things with the same base, you can add their exponents. So this is x to the 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. Minus 5 x cubed. Again, distributing both, don't forget the negative. And this is equal to negative 4x. Now we want to get the 4x onto the other side, so we have all the x's in one place. So this is going to give us x to the 5th minus 5x cubed plus 4x is equal to 0. We can pull out an x from all of these terms. So x to the 5th becomes x to the 4th, minus 5x cubed becomes x squared, and then plus 4x takes out the only x that we have. So now we have x, and then in here we have a trinomial, right? A polynomial with 3 terms, and normally you'd have something like x squared plus 6x plus 9, right? You'd have a quadratic and you'd be able to factor it. Here we have x to the 4th. So when you have that, what you should immediately look for is, can you change the variable to get you to a quadratic? And if you've never seen this before, it's not going to be obvious, but I'll show you what I mean. Let's say we let y equal x squared, and we want to plug in y wherever we can into this equation. So before we do that, let's just ignore the x. If we're thinking about this in terms of solving the solution, for x times this to be equal to 0, either x has to be equal to 0 or this has to be equal to 0. X equals to 0, we've already said, is not allowed, so we're going to have to just deal with x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, now we're plugging in y for x squared. X to the 4th is equal to x squared squared, so therefore under our new rules for y, it's going to be equal to y squared, since x squared is equal to y. And again, we found this because when you're raising one power to a power, you can multiply them. So this is x to the 2 times 2, which is 4. So we found that x to the 4th is equal to y squared minus 5, then x squared itself is just equal to normal y, plus 4 is equal to 0. And now we have a quadratic that we can factor. So we have y and y. There's no coefficient, it's just 1, so these y's are just alone. Don't forget the equals to 0. And then we have negative for the middle term and positive for the third term. So that means that these two numbers here, right, they're going to add to a negative number and they're going to multiply to a positive number. So that means they're both negative. And they're multiples, or they're factors of 4 that are going to add to 5, right? So if we factor out 4, right, so it's going to, we come to 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is equal to 4. And then obviously for any number, 1 times itself is equal to 4, is equal to itself. So these are our two possible pairs for factors. Only one of them will add to 5. If we just check, we have 2 plus 2, that equals to 4, so that's no good. And then 1 plus 4 is equal to 5, so that is our answer. There's no coefficient, so we can just put them in wherever we want. And we find that y minus 1 times y minus 4 is equal to 0. So for this product to be 0, this one has to be 0, or this one has to be 0. So y minus 1 equals 0, or minus 4 equals 0. So adding 1 to both sides over here, adding 4 to both sides over there, leaves us with just y on both sides, or on both equations on one side. So y is equal to 0 plus 1 is 1, or y is equal to 0 plus 4 is 4. So y is equal to x squared, therefore x squared equal to 1, or x squared equal to 4. And the solutions here, we have x is equal to positive negative 1, right, from this. Negative 1 squared is equal to 1, and 1 squared is equal to 1. And over here, we have x is equal to positive or negative 2, right? 2 squared is 4, negative 2 squared is 4. So these are our possible solutions, and we can say that one possible solution to the equation above, if x is greater than 0, all of our solutions, let's just write them out, x is equal to, in increasing order, we have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. What is one possible solution if x is greater than 0? Pick one of these. I'll just do 2. You could also pick 1 and write that in as your final answer. As always, thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.